How you doing, everyone? I'm gonna test my audio here because lately my audio has not been good. But trying to find a happy medium. I'm gonna listen to some Young Turks, probably an hour into their show, half hour into their show or so, 20 minutes in their show. We can just play it in the background while I'm gonna do some Pentco. What is that noise am I hearing? Play some Pentco, and I'll be on mute because there's in the evening and there's a lot going on here. So here we go.
All right, back on TYT, Jake and Anna with you guys. News.
Let's get right to it.
You say that with the walls closing in around him, his next move is to find a scapegoat.
Yes.
Go
and
on.
I believe, I believe that
Because you were a scapegoat.
Absolutely.
That's Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, making a case that Trump is looking for someone to throw under the bus, to make a scapegoat, to essentially avoid any blame for the fact that he himself took home top secret and classified documents from the White House and then refused to hand them over. And that's why he got raided. Now, who is he looking to blame? Why don't we hear from Michael Cohen and see what his theory is?
I believe the next scapegoat is going to be Rudy Giuliani. I believe that, everybody likes a bargain, but Donald Trump really likes a bargain. And I believe that Rudy is like a BOGO, buy one, get one half off. They're going to throw him under the bus for Mar-a-Lago. And at the same time, they're going to throw him under the bus for Georgia, for the district attorney Fannie Willis's case in Georgia. They're just going to keep pointing the finger. It's Rudy. It's Rudy. Quite frankly, I had nothing to do with it. It's Rudy.
Yeah.
Just ask Rudy.
It's Rudy. It's Rudy. Just ask Rudy. Rudy Giuliani. All right.
It is hard not to like the way Michael Cohen talks with that New York accent.
Yeah, I do. I appreciate the accent. However, in the first clip that we showed you, the cold open, he talks about how he was made the scapegoat and how now Rudy Giuliani will be the scapegoat. I just want to make clear that random people don't get chosen out of nowhere to be Trump's scapegoats. Trump's lackeys end up becoming his scapegoats. So I just want to mention that because I feel like there's this woe is me, I was such a victim mentality here, and like, you weren't a victim, homeboy. You know that, right? And neither is Rudy Giuliani.
You get
now,
nothing.
What they're talking about
You
here,
lose.
There's so many different
Good
investigations
day, sir.
going on. There's the January 6th investigation. Then there's the investigation into the classified documents that Trump took home. They're talking about the classified documents. And so Michael Cohen believes that Rudy Giuliani might be thrown under the bus in regard to that issue. I don't really know how. I think that there's another person that they've already begun throwing under the bus, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But Cenk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so of course they need 1,000 excuses because the guy did something criminally stupid. Both criminal in how stupid it is and a stupid action that is literally criminal. The nuclear secrets is the last thing you take home, not the first thing you take home. There's no reason to take them home at all unless you want to sell them, period. The brain dead zombies. No, Pentco. Oh no, he was working late after not being president anymore. Still wanted no. There's only one reason you take them home, to steal them and to sell them, okay? And so there's a couple of people you could throw under the bus. One is the person who handed it to him,
Reactor unstable.
which is likely the chief of staff, which we're going to get to in a second, okay? The other is that schmuck who's right next to you, who keeps getting his, kicked in the nads and going, like things melting off his face and doing cameos on the side. Hey, Rudy, you schmuck. Now you take the fall like Michael Cohen did, like everybody does, okay? And either he'll turn on Trump or he'll spend, it's possible he'll spend a lot of time in jail. But look, prosecutors at their office, right, in Manhattan, they're letting his chief financial officer, the guy who ran his books, they're basically letting him off the hook. He's going to get a tiny little prison sentence. It doesn't look like he turned on Trump at all. The Manhattan Attorney General is the worst prosecutor in the country, should be recalled immediately for being a complete and utter loser. But here in Fulton County, they're doing a better job. So they better put Rudy in jail for trying to doing fake electors and just literally destroying our democracy.
So Alan Weisselberg is going to get a prison sentence.
A tiny one.
But still, I mean, wow, a prison sentence.
No, it's nothing.
I didn't see that coming.
Most of it is time served. It's horse crap. The Manhattan Attorney General is the dumbest, worst prosecutor in the country by a lot, okay?
Well, I mean, just calling him dumb and the worst, I don't think.
You're right, it's not fair, it's not dumb.
Something else is going on. There's something else going on, exactly. Because it started
Nobody's
off,
that dumb, nobody's that incompetent.
It started off as a criminal investigation, and then all of a sudden he stopped with the criminal investigation. Two of the prosecutors working on that case decided to quit because they're like, why are you stopping with this criminal investigation? There's enough evidence there, we should pursue it. And all of a sudden, now we're seeing articles, and it's not going to happen, but he might reopen.
Oh, shit.
He might reopen. No.
Yeah.
Why would he stop and then reopen later? That makes no sense. Anyway.
The guy's a total corrupt loser. Okay, anyway, so in terms of the documents here, you know how easy it is to turn them over? They're like, oh, well, I mean, they could have just asked for them. They asked for them over and over and over and over again, the Mar-a-Lago documents. And then, okay, so why don't you just turn them over? Oh, it's really complicated. No, it's not. The FBI came in, took them. You could have just taken them.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Why didn't you do it? Because you had them hidden, because you wanted to sell them. And now you're going to throw Rudy under the bus for it.
Now, look, we've talked about the timeline before, but I'm going to go over it again because it's important to understand how all of these powerful men get so many chances.
Why the hell is
they
my
broke the law. It's clear they broke the law.
Why the hell is my
and
screen
in this
blinking
case,
over there?
The DOJ reaches out and is like, can you please just give us back the documents that we know you have, please? And so 2 months prior to the raid, there was a subpoena for those classified documents. And Trump's attorney responded with, we've already given you all the documents. We have nothing left. And then there's an FBI informant who's close to Trump apparently, who informed the FBI of the fact that no, there's still plenty of documents here, many of which are marked as classified. And so the raid ends up happening, okay? And the raid doesn't just happen on its own. The FBI or any law enforcement can't just unilaterally decide without a warrant to go into anyone's home, much less the former president's home in Mar-a-Lago. So a federal judge signs off on that warrant because there is probable cause, meaning there is reason to believe that Donald Trump is breaking the law. And guess what? They do the raid and they take with them nearly 2 dozen boxes of White House documents, many of which are marked as classified, many of which are so top secret that they can only be read in a government facility, in a safe, secure environment.
I was in sub school.
So that is the timeline.
You were able
Trump had
to
many opportunities
observe
to
your
and give
your
back
material.
the
You had to go
documents that
into
he illegally
a
took home with
separate
him
like
from the White House.
classroom, and you
Now,
couldn't bring anything for
Giuliani
writing or
is an
anything.
interesting
You had to go in there, and that's where you
theory,
studied.
right? Someone that,
And I was just
Trump
low
might
classified
throw under
stuff.
the bus when it comes to this particular investigation. But there's already some rumors about another individual who I think would actually play as a better scapegoat for Trump here, and that's former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Okay, so this is a New York Times report, and this is what they found based on some sources close to Trump who gave them the inside info. According to 2 people with knowledge of the situation, Trump and his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, the man who oversaw presidential records in the chaotic closing days of the administration, failed to organize an effort to collect, box, and deliver materials to the National Archives. Instead, they often focused on settling political grievances and personal grudges, they said. And then in the weeks leading up to Trump's
I gotta get out of here.
departure from the
I
White
got
House,
lost here.
officials
Got
discussed
distracted.
what to do about material that he had at various points taken up to the residence and that needed to be properly stored and returned. By then, the staff secretary, Derek Lyons, known for trying to keep systems in place, had left the administration. Meadows said he would address such issues, according to a senior administration official. So it has begun. This is how it starts. This is how they begin to throw Mark Meadows under the bus. And you know what? He deserves it. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, hey, what are you idiots gonna realize? He's never gonna come rescue you. So why don't you just tell people what you know about how incredibly corrupt he is? No, you're gonna go to prison for him? All right, you do whatever you want.
Where the
They're
he-
all a bunch
where the
of
hell is
criminals.
everyone?
Anna's 100% right. You don't stumble into being Trump's fall guy.
The target should be
You're the
nearby.
fall guy because you were one of his captains and you helped him to commit all those criminal acts. And if you want to go to jail for it, hey, it's just like the mob. That's your goddamn business, I guess, if you're that stupid. I want to correct one quick thing I said. I think I said Attorney General. It's, of course, Manhattan District Attorney. And his name is Alvin Bragg. And he's the
Oh my fucking
loser
God. I got so
who refused
distracted. I'm
to,
totally lost.
Investigate and indict Donald Trump. You should know and shame the people who refuse to hold Trump accountable. And Alvin Bragg's at the top of that list.
And to be clear, that investigation, which was initially a criminal investigation, looked into financial fraud that Trump allegedly committed. So that is an entirely different investigation from the classified documents, from the January 6th investigation. I mean, Donald Trump, such an innocent guy. I mean, such a good, kind spirit who's never done anything wrong, and he just happened to stumble into multiple major investigations. Weird.
Yeah, look, I'll say one last thing. Rogan and his dumbass guest today were talking about, oh, is this a setup from the FBI? Oh, they're going after Trump again. You know why they keep going after Trump? And they barely laid a glove on the guy, right? Why? They're doing nothing. They're the weakest people in the world. And they make them seem like, oh, they're going, oh, those Doc Brandon, all those guys are going after Trump again. Why? Because he keeps breaking law after law after law after law. Because they never actually went after him the first time, or the second time, or the 18th time. They always pulled an Alvin Bragg and was like, oh, he's the president. The Republicans will yell at me. So, hey, do you remember when Trump was prosecuted? Oh yeah, I don't either. Because they never indicted this son of a bitch. For all of his crimes, a half a dozen super clear crimes he has admitted on the record, never ever prosecuted. And then that's why he keeps breaking law after law. It's like, nuclear secrets, who wants some? Who wants some? And then they're like, oh, they're going after Trump again, as if he's the victim.
No, I just, look, if you don't know the details of an investigation and you don't know what Trump has been accused of, you don't know what the timeline is with these classified documents where he was given so many chances to just return them with no charges, no investigation.
So easy, just return them.
Okay,
They're boxes,
if
just
you
give it back.
if you don't know those details, then how about you just shut up, right? I don't sit here and talk about political issues or any other issue in the news that I haven't read up on and I don't know every little detail of.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Like the need to like, oh, I read a few headlines here, and what do you think? Do you think this is an FBI setup? Obviously, you didn't read a damn thing.
Yeah,
You didn't read
if
anything.
you're speculating on whether it was an FBI setup, you're a total idiot, okay? Because there's actual
Great work,
evidence.
Agent.
If
The
it was a
power plant is
setup,
stable.
we see
Don't
it
get the
all the
hell out of
time.
there.
And we talk about, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't add
When
up.
you're ready,
And we look at
send
the
up a flash
actual
so tourists can
evidence,
pick
the
you up.
exhibits, etc. There's a warrant that a judge signed off on. And then lo and behold, they did find 11 documents in Donald Trump's goddamn basement. He admits that they found the documents. I can go on and on and on, but it's never gonna get through the thick heads of Republicans. You know why? Because they like criminals. They just like criminals that are on their side.
can't
Look at
touch
what
this.
Giuliani said. He said, if Trump gets elected, the first thing
can't
he'll
touch
do is
this.
raid every one of Biden's houses. He didn't say because Biden did anything illegal. He's saying, how dare you investigate us for breaking the law? We're right-wing men. We're above the law. We run this country. We're allowed to be criminals.
you tell him,
all we want.
Cenk.
And Republican voters cheer, standing ovation. Break the law. Break the law. Because they feel like we own this place. We're not breaking the law. It's already ours. Everything. We're not stealing. We could just rape and pillage and steal and betray the country, but we're not, because we're enriching ourselves and we are the country. That's how they think. If no one ever holds them accountable, they're gonna think that till the end of time. So for God's sake, somebody arrest the sons of bitches already.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Rudy Giuliani had a fascinating interview with Newsmax. We're going to get into the details, including what he thinks about people in positions of power ever being investigated for their alleged criminality. We've got that in the background right now.
Shoot out the flares before it knows you're ready to go. Torres sees you. Helo inbound.
That's what I say all the time, but I've lost patience.
I know, I get
so
it.
I have a friend who believes this stuff too. I mean, what are you gonna do? Talk sense to them? No, you were already off, like you're a million miles off the reservation. I'm gonna talk you back. I'm gonna talk you back. Oh no, things actually exist in the real world. Donald Trump is not it's handpicked by God. How do I talk to you? What's the conversation? No, Donald Trump is not the only honest man in the country. How do I have a conversation with someone who says, no, I don't trust any politicians except Donald Trump? He's the one guy who's definitely not lying. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay, so after they get better mentally, then you can have a realistic conversation with them, but help them get a therapist. Anyway, sorry. I know it's your mom. Sorry. But I'm super frustrated with every right-winger on the planet. And by the way, like I said, it's not just them. Mainstream Democrats who are like, oh, yeah, Joe Biden delivered. They all live in crazy land. Total nuts. Totally
You kept
detached
the
from
lights
reality.
on.
Cuckoo.
Anyway,
This
Punky
entire
Dragon
Cocoa
produced
Puffs.
on YouTube and
strategy
said
that they can never
13 months on
repay.
YouTube, 5
Thank
to
you,
6 years
Agent.
on the app. Love that. Daniel Sanchez said, Anna the Fire Dragon, she's more of a fighter than Katniss, and she's real. Anna is real. Bless heavyweight progressives like her, Cons of England, etc. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Edward Perez says, Trump will gladly throw Rudy to the wolves to save himself. All right, we'll be back.
Safe area entered.
All right, back on TYT, Cenk and Anna and Ryan and Lefton Oz, who just became members. That's Ryan Pearson. So both of you, thank you. They hit the join button below on YouTube. That's a great way to help the show and help yourself get all of our programming. And of course, everybody can do it at tyt.com/join. Casper.
Let's get right to our next story.
I really just want to know how Donald Trump, since you spoke to him, feels.
Remarkable, remarkable. I mean, I represented this man through going through hell. And you know the worst times for him when they would go after Donald Jr., Eric, or Ivanka. And this time they're going after him. He really takes it. You know what he says? It's going to help me. He said, did you see the number of people? First reaction was, I said, Mr. President, I don't even want to talk to you about the case. We got plenty of time to do that. I said, you know it's I said, I feel so bad, and Maria feels so bad. She's pretty close to crying. He says, tell her not to feel bad. You see the number of people in front of Mar-a-Lago already? This is going to turn around.
You heard it straight from Rudy Giuliani's mouth, folks.
It's a
Apparently,
crazy,
Donald Trump is
that
doing
guy's
real
off the
well. And in
rails.
the context of that Newsmax interview, he said some pretty insane things, including a theory about the deep state and assassination. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's address what he said there. Unfortunately, Trump's right. The FBI raid has, in some ways, turned out well for him in that it has galvanized his supporters. He has done better in polls. In fact, he has widened his lead against Ron DeSantis to the tune of about 10 percentage points. So he actually did see a bump in support following news that the FBI had raided his home because he had allegedly taken home top secret and classified documents from the White House. And you're not supposed to do that. That breaks certain laws, including a law that he made far more harsh and robust back in 2018. Now, Cenk, I mean, what are we gonna do about that? His supporters are gonna support him no matter what. They see any type of investigation into his alleged criminality as nothing more than a witch hunt. They've been primed and conditioned to think that. So unfortunately, that's the unintended consequence of this.
No, I don't mind that at all. Look, so first of all, you should never, and most especially a prosecutor, they're supposed to follow the law. You should never prosecute Donald Trump if he didn't do anything wrong. Obviously, right? And if he did do something wrong, you should hold him accountable. That's supposed to be equally obvious, but for a lot of the prosecutors, it isn't, because they're deathly afraid of right-wing reaction, right? And so they're like, oh, how's right-wing gonna react? Is he gonna become more popular? Are they gonna be super angry? Who cares? Oh, you did a bank robbery, but how are your fans going to react when we arrest you for the bank robbery? Who cares how my fans are gonna react? Did you do the bank robbery or didn't you do the bank robbery? So now, right-wing is totally untethered from reality, so you can't reason with them. So if you say to them, hey, Trump might have broken the Espionage Act, might have shared our nuclear secrets with other countries. They're like, yes, oh, I love that guy. Oh, now I love him even more. Well, how are you gonna talk to a lunatic
It was at this
like
moment
that?
he
You
knew.
can't talk to them.
He fucked
so
up.
just let him go. Just let him wander into the woods. Oh man, our leader's a criminal. We love it. We love criminals. I hate the rule of law. Blue Lives Matter. Hate the FBI. Let's attack them. You can't just let the lunatics drift off into the woods and defeat them in battle.
And let's not forget what Donald Trump did during his administration in regard to Julian Assange and the attempts to extradite him to the United States over his reporting of classified documents, right? So the United States wants to extradite him. Don't think for a second that the Trump administration let that go. The Trump administration was vicious in trying to get Julian Assange here to the United States so they could prosecute him to the fullest extent. Trump believes in rules and laws for thee, not for me, thinks he's above the law. Now, there's more from this Giuliani interview that I want to get to, because if you thought that was an interesting component of what he had to say, he has some insanity baked in. Let's listen.
Third world countries and banana republics, they arrest the former opponent,
time.
or
They
kill them.
they
Do you
arrest
think,
them, they put their families in
Donald
jail?
Trump should be in any fear of the deepest of the deep
Yeah, he
state,
should.
maybe killing him?
I do.
Oh,
But only the deepest of the deep state, not the deep state, the deepest of the deep state. I mean, there's no evidence of that, and there's no reason to believe it, and there's political violence in the country already as a result of that kind of inflammatory rhetoric, but nonetheless, have at it, please. Go ahead and float that idea, why not?
I have a great idea. I just came up with it. Let's build the world's largest mental health clinic and call it the deep state, and have them all bondage, okay? And then go into the deepest of the deep of the deep state. Okay, look, you think they're gonna kill Trump? No, maybe they will. Like we were right, right? I mean, we break laws all the time. We're right-wingers. We love being criminals, right? So I bet they're gonna do just like us, right? Are they gonna whack him, little Rudy? Is that what they're gonna do?
I mean, look.
What I see is a bunch of pathetic minions. You know the popular movie Minions? That's all of Trump's guys. Pathetic little minions running around. What criminal activity can we support now? So sad, so pathetic.
Look, to be fair to Giuliani, maybe he's done something that I didn't think he would ever do, which is read up about the country's history and some of the more nefarious, top secret behaviors that the FBI engaged in, which in some cases did lead to assassinations of, civil rights leaders and things like
What
that.
do you mean? Rudy did it. Rudy said he loved that stuff. They're like, when we were assassinating people not only outside the country, but potentially inside the country in the 1960s, Rudy loved that kind of stuff. And why do I say that? Well, when he was mayor of New York, he authorized going in to surveil innocent Muslims with no evidence at all. He's like, oh, they're Muslims? Let's stamp them down and press down on them and investigate them all. You were part of the scumbags who did that. So now all of a sudden, when it's done to you, wait a minute. We are Christian white men. We rule this country. You can't investigate us. We can illegally investigate you. I'm going to go back to that quote. He said, if Trump gets elected, the first thing he'll do is raise every one of Biden's houses. That's what Rudy said. In other words, we don't care what's legal and not legal. We know Trump broke the law, but you're not allowed to hold him accountable. And if you dare hold him accountable, we're going to raid Biden's homes based on nothing. I just told you. We don't have any evidence that he did anything wrong. We're going to raid his homes for political reasons. Because Republicans, at this point, if they're still a Republican, they're thugs and criminals.
And I think what we're about to show you really help crystallize what the GOP really thinks about law and order in this country. What they really think about essentially being tough on
What's going on with my chat
when
box?
it
I
comes
can't
to
see a thing. I can't
disadvantaged
see the
people,
chat or anything.
when it comes to their political opponents. But when it comes to one of their own, they see these government agencies as their personal assistants, as individuals who provide cover for them, as individuals who do their bidding for them. Which is why they're so outraged that the FBI would have the audacity to raid Trump's residence even after Trump was subpoenaed 2 months prior to the raid. Even after that subpoena told him he needed to turn over those documents to avoid a raid from happening. But he didn't care. He didn't want to follow the law because Trump thinks he's above the law. Now, I think this next video is telling, to say the least. Let's take a look.
I think you'd have to really be a true partisan to see that they haven't gone too far. Just the mere fact that 250 years just about never done before. And there's a reason for it. It's not just like that. Because that's what happens in banana republics. That's what happened in Nazi countries. That's what happened in communist countries. So the guy wins, and then he either kills or prosecutes the opposition.
You should lock her up, I'll tell you. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary. Lock them up. Yeah, lock them up. I'll tell you something, though, and it's right. Lock them up. You should lock them up. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary. Adam Schiff, Jerry Nadler, they have to be accountable.
Yeah, that's called projection.
Governor Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas told us last night he didn't think that was appropriate, the lock her up chanting, and he didn't think it was right.
I do feel she violated the law. And I do feel she should have been prosecuted.
Fascinating. Banana Republic stuff, I believe.
Yeah, so look, the reason why I'm so tough on the Republicans, first of all, everybody does kid gloves with them, like, the Republican voters, they're so precious, is because, look guys, they figured out that sometimes the media's corrupted as well. Congrats. Yes, we figured that out 20 years ago. And so whenever there's a scandal, especially of an outsider, you should be really careful and look at what their comedians actually say. Because half the times it's innuendo, it's smears, etc. And we've done that for 20 years, whether it's Democrats or Republicans. And sometimes with Republicans, we'll say, hey, that one doesn't add up at all. Okay? And we'll sometimes defend the worst of the Republicans because they didn't do it. Okay? And sometimes the Democrat did do it, and we'll tell you, oh my God, he did it. Get him the hell out of here, right? Because we believe in looking at evidence. But the right wing just doesn't believe in that. They love authoritarian government. They just love it. They just want a leader, and they don't want to question it. If they question their leader, they're going to get lost, and they're going to be fearful. So they say, if you break the law, we don't mind. They're never going to look at evidence. They're never going to analyze this evidence, no matter how guilty he is. They could have his fingerprints, and they might, by the way, on the documents. They could have Russian and Saudi fingerprints on the documents. And Republicans will say, oh, you're supposed to sell nuclear secrets to the Saudis. Then the FBI did it, and then Antifa did it. They're gone, they're gone, they're gone. You want to support criminals? The Republican Party is becoming, the entire party has become a party of total criminals. So enjoy it. And he's a fascist. It's super obvious. And you want to support a fascist instead of democracy? Have at it, Hoss. But don't come around telling us you love America.
Exactly.
Because you hate America. You hate the rule of law. And you hate justice and equality. Just own it.
Well, it seems like some of Trump's closest allies have already accepted that he's very likely a felon. And one of those individuals is Sean Hannity, so let's discuss. Fox News' Sean Hannity apparently acknowledged on his radio program that, yeah, maybe Trump is a felon, but even if he is, don't worry, he could still be our dear, dear leader. So in other words, here's Sean Hannity wanting a felon to be the leader of this country. Let's watch.
Thanks for the endorsement, bro.
If they think that they're going to somehow make this about Donald Trump and prevent him from running for office, well, they obviously have not read something called the Constitution, because the Constitution is pretty clear on what qualifies one to be able to run for president. In other words, okay, even if Section 2071 in the Federal Penal Code has penalty provisions upon conviction that a defendant shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. Okay, but we do have something called the Constitution and the qualifications for one to be president of the United States that is very clear and enumerated, and you can't alter it by any statutes precisely because our framers in their
steel, I need steel,
dominated by the legislature, as would happen if Congress could disqualify any incumbent or potential president simply by passing a law. And the Constitution's qualifications are simple. You got to be over 35 and a natural-born citizen. Being a felon is not a disqualification.
Now, he's actually partly correct. Being a felon... Very partly, right? So being a felon isn't necessarily a disqualification, but it really depends on what kind of felon you are. And so let's talk about that a little bit, because Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, according to PolitiFact, says that no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, who had previously taken an oath to support the Constitution and then, quote, engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. That section was added after the Civil War. Now, there is an issue here, though, because as PolitiFact notes and as other legal experts have weighed in, the likelihood of this portion of the Constitution being used against Donald Trump, even if he is found guilty, right? That disqualifying him is still going to be a tough sell. It's still unlikely. They tried to use this against Madison Cawthorn. It didn't work. So look, do I think that it'll actually prevent Trump from running for president in 2024? No, I don't think it's going to stop him. But I do find it interesting that Hannity seems to have accepted that Trump is a felon.
So I want to come back to the felon thing in a second. But first, on the legality of all of this, just because the Constitution says, hey, here are two minimum things you need, like including the age limit, right? It doesn't mean that you can't exclude them for anything else. It just means you can't run if you're 34. So you don't need a clause in the Constitution that says, hey, if the president is working for a foreign country and took a bribe from a foreign country, he's not allowed to run again, or any office holder. That could be a law, and then the question is the law unconstitutional or not? Right?
Got
and
fix
so
my
there
chat
are many laws that say
here.
you cannot hold office if you do X, Y, or Z. None of them have ever been found unconstitutional. Now, is it possible that this incredibly corrupt conservative Supreme Court will go, even though there's no precedent on that and we've never ever held anyone else to this standard, we're going to invent a Trump standard that a law is unconstitutional if it applies to Donald Trump. Okay, is that possible? It's possible, but they'd definitely be lying and cheating.
Yeah.
So yes, he can be disqualified by a law. It doesn't have to specifically state it in the Constitution.
Yes.
So I want to be clear on that. Now, to the second point that Anna's making, Hannity's saying, well, if he's a felon, you could still vote for him, so what, right? Now, wait, okay, it depends on what kind of felon, right? And did he do his time? Did he serve, time for the crimes that he committed and paid back service to the people? No, Trump didn't do any of that, right? And was it hey, you know what, that's a felony, but that's trafficking, that's legal in California, illegal in Missouri. Okay, maybe you do a pardon or maybe you vote for that guy anyway. No, this would be a felony if it's true. Remember, he's granting that it's a felony. If he gets convicted for it, it would be a felony of mishandling top secret
something good. Here we go.
That is our nuclear secrets. They're not going to prosecute him for that if he just took them home and thought that they were just mementos. They're going to prosecute him if he was trying to sell them, okay? That's the kind of monster Donald Trump is. And Hannity says, so what? So what that he was going to try to sell our nuclear secrets? Technically, he could still run.
Do something good.
You'd vote for that guy? You'd vote for a president who tried to sell our nuclear secrets last time to our enemies? You're technically you're a monster. You hate this country and you love fascism, and you've got a fascist leader and you can't wait to support him.
I just can't help but think about the days when Hannity and all his pals on Fox News spent time broadcasting their disdain for Obama's tan suit and the fact that he puts mustard on his hamburger. Like they couldn't help themselves. Like any little thing. By the way, there were plenty of things to be critical toward Obama on, substantive things like helping Wall Street, the big banks, being supportive of quantitative easing by the Federal Reserve, which pumped all this cheap money into banks and private equity firms. And what did they do with that money? Did they trickle down to all of us? No, they used that money to make investments for themselves. They did stock buybacks, and they created all sorts of asset bubbles in the country that we're now seeing the ramifications of today.
Richer,
but nonetheless, I mean, it's just amazing to me because there wasn't anything Obama could do that would lead to positive commentary on these individuals. And now, years and years later, you have Sean Hannity saying, so what if he's a felon? You could still vote for him.
Yeah, guys, it's a devastating point. Just think about it for a second. Always think shoe on the other foot, right? And that includes when it's your guys, okay? In this case, imagine if Sean Hannity had information. The FBI had just raided Barack Obama's house, and they found nuclear secrets that he has no business holding, no business at all. What the hell is he doing with nuclear secrets after he's left office? Do you think Hannity would be like, no big deal, no big deal? Oh, maybe, and then his son-in-law got a $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. Coincidence, no big deal. No, Hunter, in that case, imagine it's Biden and Hunter Biden got a $2 billion payoff from Saudi Arabia.
Target
and Hannity would come out and go, oh, no big deal, guys. And so what if Obama or Biden are felons? They should be allowed to run again. Do you think Hannity would say that? Of course he wouldn't say that.
Of course not.
Of course not, because he's a goddamn liar. Okay, that's why.
And let's not forget, while Hannity has just made it clear that he's supportive of a felon running for president and supportive of voting for a felon for president, in huge parts of this country, felons are not even allowed to cast a ballot. And Hannity, interestingly enough, seems to have scrubbed any of his commentary on that topic from the internet. I was searching all morning for it, but I did come across one tweet. Doesn't have much commentary, but they did want to go after Michael Bloomberg after Florida had allowed inmates to vote after a ballot initiative passed in the state. And then what the lawmakers in Florida did in response to that, because they didn't like the outcome of that ballot initiative, is they said, you don't get to vote until you pay all of your legal fees, until you, basically pay back any debt you have. Michael Bloomberg comes in and he's like, I'm gonna pay all of their fees and stuff so they can vote. And Fox News was furious about that, and Sean Hannity had tweeted about it. Report, Bloomberg Group paid fines for 30,000 felons so they can vote in Florida in 2020.
So back then, he thought felons shouldn't have any rights. They shouldn't even be allowed to vote. But now that his big guy's a felon, he's like, not only should felons be allowed to vote, they should be allowed to be president. Gee, I wonder if they're hypocrites over at Fox News. Hard to tell. Well, they report, you decide.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna have some fun in the second hour
they
today.
report,
because
you decide.
right-wing candidates have made a lot of missteps that are worth.
So how do you tell your brain?
Worth laughing at. So we've got that and more coming right up. Don't miss it.
last one.
Mr. Methuselah says on YouTube, super chat, thanks for all the important work you do for TYT for the movement.
Do you know who had the first super chat when I got back from vacation? You won't be surprised to find out. Rob Shively. What do you know? Rob says, rejoice for Dragon Daddy has returned.
This question sent to us by Izzy Sanchez Jr. Is it me, or is Meghan McCain talking as fast as Ben Shapiro? Is that the way the right tries to look smart and intellectual? Well, yes.
Michael Nathan writes it on Twitter. Did Anna choose Cenk's outfit today? I'm sure it wasn't Cenk himself. Man Bun Jenkins Skinny Jeans says, so now Anna has pointed out, okay, that's just handled.
T. Joyce, 1971, saying Donald Trump is good at pulling out of things. NAFTA, the Iran deal, NATO. It's just too bad Fred Trump didn't...
All right, let me do a little quick plug here. It's not even a plug. I'm bragging, okay? I'm bragging. Watch me. We have a channel on YouTube. A whole channel devoted just to the Young Turks. It's badass, right? Wow, man. I can see the void.
You guys are rock stars.
Unbelievable. Senator Sanders, welcome to Rebel Headquarters. Man, you guys are amazing. We gave you what you wanted. Okay. Speaking of shirts.
I have a surprise.
You reached a lot of people. You are the Young Turks. And we have spread that progressive message wide and far. Let's keep it going.
That's the target agent. Spotted, Sheriff.
Artillery turret detected.
Target down. Good job. Target. Nice. Looks like you earned yourself another bounty. Well done.
A lot more news, and now fun news.
We have an important story to do, actually, and then we'll get to the fun stuff.
Okay.
We got to give you guys the vegetables, okay? But it could be any kind of vegetable you want. Broccolini, we could do some grilled asparagus. Later, we do the chocolate cake, big, beautiful cake. But for now, let's talk about poverty in Mississippi.
Okay, not a fun story.
Not a fun story. All right. Mississippi's governor, Tate Reeves, has decided to end the rental assistance implemented during the pandemic. And mind you, we're talking about Mississippi, which is one of the poorest states in the country. Now, why is he doing it? Well, because he thinks that anything that might assist people in being able to pay for a roof over their heads makes them lazy. They're so entitled. They're so entitled. Now, the minimum wage in Mississippi is still $7.25. Again, one of the poorest states in this nation. But it doesn't matter because Tate Reeves just wants to further make these people's lives a living hell. The Rental Assistance for Mississippians program, or RAMP, offered up to 15 months of rental and utility bill assistance for those in need. It was funded by 2 COVID-19 economic bills passed by Congress in both 2020 and 2021, which provided billions of dollars of rental relief to states to administer to people economically disadvantaged by the pandemic. Remember, tens of millions of Americans were laid off. They lost their jobs in the beginning of the pandemic. Many people never recovered, certainly not in states like Mississippi, where poverty was already a huge problem prior to the pandemic. And so what was Reeves' reasoning for doing this? Let's go to his post on social media where he says,
Target is near you, Agent.
First he quotes Ronald Reagan. Government programs, once launched, never disappear. And then he writes, today in Mississippi, we are ending RAMP, a federal program that incentivizes people not to work by using taxpayer dollars to pay for up to 15 months of free rent and utilities. RAMP was originally intended to help those struggling as a direct result of COVID, yet, like so many other government programs on Democrats' wish lists, it fundamentally lost its way and no longer serves its original purpose. Mississippians pay enough for their own rent, they shouldn't have to pay for others too. Well, let's just note that Mississippi had about $130 million in federal cash left over for RAMP to help people with rental assistance. That money is now going to be sent back to the federal government. It's going to be sent back to the Treasury. It kind of reminds me of the red states who refused to take the federal money under the Affordable Care Act to expand their Medicaid programs to ensure more of their constituents. That's who the right wing is. When they claim to be in favor of economic populism, understand that they're full of crap. They love the pain and suffering because they want to save taxes. They don't want to pay their taxes. And cutting programs that help needy individuals, an ever-increasing population of Americans, to be honest with you, is how they do it. But let me give you more. Actually, before I do, Cenk, why don't you jump in?
Yeah, one quick thing on this. Look, normally the reason Republicans take things away from the poor and the middle class is because they want to give it to the rich. And we've shown you countless ways that they redistribute the wealth to the top. So they'll investigate tax fraud for people making under $28,000, but not investigated for billionaires, right? And we show you dozens of examples. But in this case, it's not really going to go back to tax cuts for the rich. It's not even staying in Mississippi. It's going to the federal government. So why do it? It seems so gratuitous. You're just turning away free money from your state. Your state that's in miserable shape because it's run by Republicans. It's almost dead last in almost every category. I mean, Jesus, you barely have any money at all. Why give it back? Because it's the politics of hate. So Republicans win based on saying, oh, look at those bums taken from you. And they oftentimes with a heavy-handed implication that it's black voters, right? And so they will go toward, oh yeah, look at those bums. They tell you know what, I'm not letting them take from you anymore. They weren't even taking from you, it's from the federal government. That's why they're doing it, because the Republican Party is filled to the rim with hate.
And you know, what Tate Reeves does here is what you see from a lot of right-wingers, where they try to
get a
paint
bunch of
all
these
these
Storm
individuals as people who
PX4 Storm
just
Type
wanna
F.
sit on their lazy
I get a
bums and do
lot of
nothing.
those lately.
But in
It's
reality, the majority of people who were receiving this rental assistance were in fact working. It's just that the wages are so incredibly low that it's impossible to afford the astronomical rents that we're seeing, not just in Mississippi, but all across the country. Many Americans are experiencing that, including Republicans who have full-time jobs, but that still doesn't cover the cost of living a roof over your head. So let's talk about the numbers here. In February, for instance, Mississippi Today reported, based on information provided by the Home Corporation, that 66% of the applicants approved to receive funds through the program were in fact employed. They were working. So RAMP is gone, but housing prices are still on the rise. So you take a look at the rise in housing prices in Mississippi, and you can see from that graph that, you know, it does shoot up, even in 2022. And that doesn't even take into account how much housing costs increased beginning in 2020 when, you know, basically single-family homes were being snatched up by private equity firms that was pricing ordinary people out of the housing market, and they had no choice but to rent. That increased demand for rental units, but there's still a limited supply. So that's part of the reason why price has gone up so much. The latest US Census data available for the week ending July 11 show that 44.5% of adult Mississippians surveyed reported being behind on their rent or mortgage, with eviction or foreclosure in the next 2 months being either very likely or somewhat likely. So, look, I think the best thing you can do as a voter in Mississippi is not allow yourself to get played by the manufactured culture war narratives Republican lawmakers sell to you. Vote them out and vote in politicians who actually want to make your life better. Because all you see from Republican lawmakers, whether it be on a state level or federal level, is selling the politics of fear, selling you negative stuff, right? I mean, you vote for someone solely based on negative rights, taking rights away from people, and that makes no difference to your life, it doesn't improve your life in any material way, your priorities are screwed up, bro. Like, get it together.
And by the way, so Anna's also talking about the politics of hate, but it's not just on racial issues, guys. Look at it. For Mississippi, a lot of them are Republicans. And the Republican Party doesn't just hate certain minorities. They have great disdain for working class Americans. Remember, 2/3 of them are working, and he called them bums anyway. Why? Because they're not rich. Wake up, Republican voters. You think your politicians like you? No. They look down their nose at you, including Donald Trump. He says, I don't want poor people. You remember when he said this? I don't want poor people in my cabinet. I want rich people. Because he thinks rich means you're awesome and special. And if you're poor or working class or middle class, he thinks, oh, you're no good at all. Take their money away, they're bums. They don't like their voters either.
In the most recent legislative session, you want to know what the state lawmakers did in Mississippi? The largest tax cut in Mississippi history was implemented that will lower the state income tax from 5% to 4% over the next 4 years.
Of course, the rich get a giant tax cut. Of course! When you vote for a Republican, yes, you're voting for hate, and a lot of the Republican voters love that, right? But the hate's not going to get implemented. The main thing that's going to get implemented is they're going to pick your pocket and give it to the rich, you schmuck.
The state's legislature allocated $279 million less to K through 12 school districts for the 2022 and 2023 school year. Yeah, they rob you blind, but I'm sure you getting to strip rights away from people who have lifestyles you disagree with keeps you warm at night and keeps a roof over your head, I'm sure. Let's get our priorities straight. These politicians are playing all of us, and it's time that we hold them accountable, get them out of office, and actually elect leaders who want to make our lives better. All right, that was a depressing story, so I'm gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna dunk. That's how the basketball players do, right? They dunk like that. We're gonna dunk on Republicans. It's
just like that. I was like, wait, is that Shaq? Oh no, it's Anna. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Please stop. I really wish I hadn't seen that.
We're gonna take a break. We'll be
Okay,
right back.
come back. You remember when he said this? I don't want poor people in my cabinet. I want rich people. Because he thinks rich means you're awesome and special. And if you're poor or working class or middle class, he thinks, oh, you're no good at all. Take their money away, they're bums. They don't like their voters either.
In the most recent legislative session, you want to know what the state lawmakers did in Mississippi? The largest tax cut in Mississippi history was implemented.
Friends, acquaintances, family members. I don't mean to let them go in their entirety. I don't do that. I've told you about my right-wing acquaintances. I just don't talk politics with them. Just avoid that topic. They're not going to make any sense. But don't cut them out of your life altogether. Just talk about other things.
That's the target agent.
We'll be back.
Target neutralized. Good work.
All right, back on TYT, Cenk and Anna with you guys. Donald James X also gifted a membership on YouTube. Now you can gift memberships on YouTube, which I love. And they threw in a nickname for Casper, Rock the Casper.
Ooh.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. What do you think, Donald? We got a good Donald on our side. Okay. All right, Casper.
Let's do it.
Thought I'd do some grocery shopping. I'm at Wegner's, and my wife wants some vegetables for crude today.
Dr. Oz, you know, trying to connect with the poor, trying to let them all know that he's really suffering from inflation himself, especially when it comes to the necessary ingredients for a crudité, which I'm sure most people fully aware of what that is, right?
We got more of the video in a second, but I have to confess, I was just saying off here, 52 years, I have never heard that word. I never saw it written, I never heard it. And okay, you can say, oh yeah, you're a barbarian, that's fine. Crudité? I thought he was ordering up a coup d'etat, which makes more sense for Republicans.
100%.
Okay.
All right, so there were also some pretty grave mistakes there, especially for a candidate who's a carpetbagger in the Senate race in Pennsylvania. We'll tell you what I mean by that in just a moment, but first, let's watch more of this video.
Here's a broccoli. That's $2. Not a ton of broccoli there. Here's some asparagus. That's $4. Yep. Carrots. That's $4 more. That's $10 of vegetables there. And then we need some guacamole. That's $4 more. And she loves salsa. Yeah, salsa there. $6.
What the fuck is he
For
doing?
salsa. Guys, that's $20 for crudité. This doesn't include the tequila. I mean, that's outrageous. We got Joe Biden to thank for this.
What the fuck
thank
is he
Joe
talking
Biden
about?
for the fact that you obviously have never gone grocery shopping in your life, and that head of broccoli is not $4. It's probably $4 a pound.
Oh my God, he's never gone shopping. Oh my God. Oh, that is unbelievable. I missed that, Anna. You're totally right. Okay, he's never shopped a day in his life. That's amazing. Did you guys hear him bungling the name of the store? He called it Wagner's. There's no Wagner's. He's never been there. There's two different stores. There's one Wegmans in New Jersey where he actually lives, and that's probably where he was. But there's Wagner's in Pennsylvania where he's running for office. He smushed them together. Here we are, Wagner's. Okay, no, you're in New Jersey, aren't you? You're in New Jersey at Wegmans, right? But it doesn't matter, he doesn't even know. He's like, what is this thing? Oh, this Ralph fella has a lot of stores out in California. No, it's a grocery store, it's called Ralph's. All right, anyway.
All right.
He's so clueless. Why'd you make the video?
No.
You rich schmuck, why'd you make the video?
Thank you, Dr. Oz. Thank you for making the video. I mean, it's just amazing because he keeps thinking he's like owning his political opponent, who of course is John Fetterman. And every time he puts out a political ad or does one of these stunts, he just demonstrates to the people of Pennsylvania and the rest of the country how out of touch he is. No one, like most people don't know what crudités are, or is. And more importantly, like you just made it clear you didn't actually live in Pennsylvania. You don't know the correct name of the grocery store that you're shopping at. You obviously have someone shopping for groceries on your behalf because you think that head of broccoli is $4, when again, I could be wrong, but whenever I go grocery shopping, especially for produce, it's not, oh, this head of broccoli is $4, it's $4 a pound.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, a lot of the viewers, they're like, they said, in those neck of the woods, which is New Jersey, not Pennsylvania, those prices that he listed were fairly normal. And he said, can you believe the salsa is $6? When did you last buy salsa? Was it $5 last time you bought it? What do you know? You never buy it. You can tell he didn't bring a bag. He's got nothing. He's like, oh, look at this. I normally go shopping. Here, I pick this up. Then I pick this up. I don't know where to carry them. What do you plebeians do with these things? What do the masses do? I need crudité. Crudité, someone.
And this doesn't even include the tequila.
I love that part too. As if like you all know that you're supposed to drink tequila with crudité, right?
Of course, obviously.
And he's like, it doesn't even include the tequila. So sad. How will the masses get along? How will they get their crudité without the tequila?
Okay. So before we get to John Fetterman dunking on him, which I live for at this point, let's talk about what crudités are. And I have seen the word crudité on a menu before. Although I didn't know it was pronounced crudité, I thought it was crudite, and I thought it was a weird item that I had no interest in.
That's so funny because we talked about this on Old School, one of our shows. Become a member, get all of them, tyt.com/join. Charcuterie.
Charcuterie, exactly. Terrible name.
For like 45 years, I was like, what's this charcuterie thing, man? It looks weird. I'm not gonna. Turns out it's just like cold cuts and cheese. I'm like, why did you call it charcuterie?
Why not?
I didn't order it for 40 years because of that.
No, let's just. I'm actually offended at the use of charcuterie rather than just referring to that item as what it is, which actually has a much
And
more
my lighting again
delicious
is
sounding
changing.
name.
It's evening,
Meat and cheese
so
plate.
You love it.
Getting glare
Okay, that
here
I
and
order
there.
right away.
I like
right
meat and
away.
cheese.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's go back to crudités. What is that? Crudités are French appetizers consisting of sliced or whole raw vegetables, which are typically dipped in a vinaigrette or other dipping sauce. Examples of crudités include celery sticks, carrot sticks, cucumber sticks, bell pepper strips, broccoli, cauliflower, fennel, baby corn, and asparagus spears, okay? Now, John Fetterman has the appropriate name for that plate of vegetables. Let's take a look at his tweet. He says, in Pennsylvania, we call this a veggie tray.
As you're reading the quote, I'm like, that's just vegetables. That's just, we
Just a
put it
veggie
out
tray.
on, a lot of people do that. Oh, there's the Doritos, there's the vegetables, and you can put it in the ranch sauce.
And
or if
then-
you want to get the salsa with avocado business or whatever. I didn't know I had to put tequila in there, okay, but, or serve tequila with it, but.
And then he posted a picture of himself holding a veggie tray, which I appreciated.
Crudité. You found the crudité.
Can you accompany the veggie tray with tequila, or is that only allowed for something that's named crudité?
Yeah, no, I believe you can also have beer with it, okay? When it's a veggie plate, you can have beer with it, it's okay.
Okay, all right, I like that. And Act Blue also got in on the fun with Wegner's Let Them Eat crudité. No, I love it. Fetterman, of course, as we've been talking about on the show, is doing really well in that Senate race. It's one of the lights in a very dark time in America, especially for a pretty feckless Democratic Party that gives voters very few reasons to vote for them. So it's good to see Fetterman rise above all of that with actual policy proposals that people love.
And by the way, a great way of campaigning, which is aggressive. I mean, we've been asking for this for 40 years, and finally a Democrat figured it out. You're supposed to attack the other side. You're supposed to kick their ass so people want to vote for you and not them. Other Democrats, do look at it and do likewise. It's not that hard. By the way, as we told you yesterday, Oz is hurt. Don't ask him if he's all right, dog. Republican Party just pulled $5 million worth of ads right before they were going to run, meaning they probably gave up on that race. That's Fetterman's beating him with a carrot stick.
By the way, just real quick, I think it's French, but I've heard this maybe once or twice. I looked it up again to remember it. There's canapés. There's also a amuse-bouche.
No, you're kidding. There's a thing called a
amuse-bouche. I swear to God, there's a thing called I think a amuse-bouche.
A mouche-bouche. I gotta have a mouche-bouche. I don't know what it is, but on name alone.
It's like a little something. Before,
I bet it is.
Yeah, before you eat. Because the French love little somethings.
I like little somethings.
They do.
Come here, bring that mouche-bouche pie.
But this is America, okay? Get that amuse-bouche out of here, all right? Give me a real appetizer. Give me that bloomin' onion. Anyway.
No, but super last thing is, guys, it's amazing how out of touch these elites are.
Totally.
Dr. Oz is probably over $100 million, and he really thought he was nailing Fetterman with this video.
Totally.
He thought, I'm going to connect with the voters so much. The price of our crudité is going up.
Yeah.
And they're gonna love me. He really believed that before he made that video.
Inflation, am I right? Like, I love the idea that inflation is impacting him the same way it's impacting the vast majority of Americans.
He's like, I mean, now, especially when you're importing a Rolls Royce, I mean, come on. Who can afford it these days? That's why I've only got 12. Am I right? Am I right?
All right. Oh, God. If you thought that story was good, hold on to your butts, because this next one is probably my favorite story of the year. I'm not even kidding, okay? Let's do it.
You know, a lot of people have likened the situation that's going on right now as, they say we're in a banana republic. I think that's an insult to banana republics across the country.
You just heard from a gentleman named Bo Hines,
Oh, yeah,
who's
yeah.
running for
I
the
watched
House
this.
of Representatives in North Dakota.
Listen to this. It's freaking hilarious.
He's having a little trouble keeping track of his banana republics. And if you're wondering what I mean, let's take a look at the whole exchange here.
You get to Congress. Is it going to be real? Are we actually going to be willing to defund IRS, FBI, things of that nature?
Well, I mean, we have to. I mean, we're at a point in our country now where we have a unregulated fourth branch of government that's targeting middle-class Americans on a daily basis. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Lies. That's a lie.
Liking the situation
Oh my
that's going on
God,
right now
this
is,
guy's so
we're
out of touch.
Banana Republic. I think that's an insult to banana republics across the country. I mean, at least the manager at Banana Republic, unlike our president, knows where he is and why he's there and what he's doing. I mean, we have a president right now that doesn't know where he is, doesn't know who he is or what time it is.
It was at
and
this
he's attempting
moment
to run
he
our country
knew.
at the same time
He
this
fucked
fourth
up.
unregulated branch of government, which is the FBI, the DOJ, targeting Americans every single day.
When he said banana republics across the country, I was like, what do you mean across the country? And then he's like, you know, the good general managers. I'm like, now we're calling him. Oh my God, he thinks it's the store. Oh my God, he thinks it's the store. Holy cow.
No, but what I love is that, okay, he doesn't know what banana republics are, which is bad by itself. But as right-wingers have been referring to this country as a banana republic, Bo Hines is like, wait, banana republics are bad now?
Like
yeah, screw Banana Republic. I really don't like this season's sundresses for women. A little too much revealing, you know? I'm not into that. Like, so you just go along with it? You just go along with that? So if your party is waging a war randomly against Banana Republic retail stores, you're like, all right, go for it. Those button-down shirts, a little too fitted for men. Not in favor of that. Like, what?
They celebrate ignorance, man. They really do.
No, we have to watch the video again because I want you to focus on something different the second time you watch it.
And guys, remember, this guy is not a dentist, okay? He's not an accountant. He's in politics, right? Banana republics are a very well-known thing if you've studied politics for 1 minute. Let's watch.
No, wait, hold on. I gotta tell him what to look at.
Oh, okay.
Now, as he's talking, pay attention to the facial expression of the man sitting next to him as he makes it clear he's talking about Banana Republic retail stores. Let's watch.
You get to Congress. Is it going to be real? Are we actually going to be willing to defund IRS, FBI, things of that nature?
Well, I mean, we have to. I mean, we're at a point in our country now where we have a unregulated fourth branch of government that's targeting middle-class Americans on a daily basis. I mean, it's unbelievable what we're seeing. You know, a lot of people have likened the situation that's going on right now as, you know, they say we're in a banana republic. I think that's an insult to banana republics across the country. I mean, at least the manager at Banana Republic, unlike our president, knows where he is and why he's there and what he's doing. I mean, we have a president right now that doesn't know where he is, doesn't know who he is or what time it is. And he's attempting to run our country at the same time this fourth unregulated branch of government, which is the FBI, the DOJ, targeting Americans every single day.
Toward the end, that guy looks off at someone who's off camera and like smiles because someone off camera is clearly making fun of Bo Hines.
Yeah, no, that was great. In the beginning when he had the big smile and then he says like Banana Republics across the country and he's like,
oh no, what did I do? What did I do?
And the insults to the general managers are terrible.
Okay, question for you. What do you do? I don't know what the name of that guy is, right, with the red tie. What do you do if you're the guy with the red tie? Do you interrupt him and correct him? Do you just let it go?
No, look, sometimes awkward things will happen with Alex, okay? And what you have to do is you have to subtly correct them the next time they pause. You don't have to interrupt and go, hey, knucklehead. Okay, they're not talking about the stores. They're talking about the countries, you know, run by third world dictators. Although that's super unfair because we actually did coups in those countries on behalf of United Fruit Corporation. But anyway, they're not talking about Gap. They're not talking about Banana Republic, idiot.
Yeah.
Okay, no, you just, next time he says, well, of course, but also, I'm sure they're also referring to Banana Republics in Central America, blah, 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 right? And you at least correct it for the record for the audience.
Right. Oh my God. Oh my God, what percentage of voters think that Banana Republic means the retail store?
Oh, Republicans, like probably 60%. But I don't blame, like, okay, look, they're not political experts. This guy's running for office, okay? But I bet you, if you did a poll, 60% of Republican voters would think that when they were saying Banana Republic, they
it's
meant the store.
crazy. It's crazy.
Maybe to be fair to him, we should mention that Joe Biden was photographed at a Banana Republic retail store, letting the American people know that they have the best deals in the world, Jack.
Oh, well, there you go
Yeah,
then.
so that's what he meant. Maybe
Encouraging
that's what he was
Banana
talking
Republics all across the country.
about. Yeah. But that's a photoshopped image, by the way. It's not real.
You have to clarify to Republicans.
Just in case. Now, Bo Hines' mix-up is hilarious, but we'd like to debunk some claims that were made in the context of that conversation. So that was a funny component, but let's also talk about like the fear-mongering that has emerged by the GOP in regard to the IRS finally getting the resources it needs to, do audits of incredibly wealthy individuals who dodge their taxes. Because their overwhelming focus has been on people who are not rich because it's easy to audit them. It doesn't take as much resources, right? And so through the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, there was money allocated to beef up the IRS to focus on these, high-end tax dodgers. And I do want to go to this next video because this is the fear-mongering I'm talking about. We're going to debunk it in just a moment.
Target spotted, Sheriff.
The regime made a bad miscalculation here on the heels of passing legislation to fund this new Gestapo at the IRS. The organization is going to be used in the same abusive, corrupt manner as the FBI and the DOJ have been used.
No. First of all, what she considers corrupt actions by the FBI and DOJ are not actually corrupt. It's just that they're investigating Trump's possible criminality, and she don't like that. But let's talk about why the IRS is getting some funding. So more than half of the agency's audits in 2021 were actually directed at taxpayers with incomes less than $75,000, according to IRS data. Rich people who file complex returns have access to accountants and lawyers who can fight the IRS's enforcement mechanisms, or at least draw the process out over years, as Trump would know, by the way. Even when the IRS is able to collect from those types of taxpayers, it will have expended lots of resources in the process. And Republicans have actually done an excellent job over the last decade in defunding the IRS to protect their rich buddies. So their rich buddies can get away with dodging taxes, and then the IRS focuses all its attention on individuals who make less than $75,000 a year. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen pledged that audit rates will not rise relative to recent years for households making under $400,000.
Oh, they're coming after you. Really? You're all making about $400,000? So, oh, right, Laura Ingraham was lying. You know why she was lying? Because the entire Republican Party is formed to protect rich people.
And she's rich.
Yeah, she's incredibly rich. So is everybody at Fox News. And so what they're doing is, they're turning this into a Banana Republican, targeting all of you guys with discount shirts that look crisp when worn. I mean, they're targeting you guys. And the IRS is going to come take your money. No, they're not, unless you're making over $400,000. And they're going to take your money. They're doing slightly more audits to make sure rich people aren't cheating on their taxes. Because when they cheat on their taxes, that tax burden falls on all of us.
26 of the richest people in America paid an average federal income tax rate of just 4.8% over 6 years, 2013 to 2018. When the growth in their wealth is counted as income, according to Americans for Tax Fairness, using IRS tax payment information recently released by ProPublica and billionaire wealth growth data from Forbes.
Good work.
Do you guys understand? If you're an ordinary American, everything that the GOP is trying to scare you with has already happened to you. They just don't want to ever be held accountable for their criminality, for the fact that they're not paying their fair share in taxes. How insane is it that someone making $40,000 a year is paying a higher percentage of their income in federal taxes than the wealthiest people in this country? It's insane.
And the Republicans love it.
They love it.
Meanwhile, they're trying to distract you with everything they can. Bo Hines later said the Democrats just want a king, any king. I heard they even want a Burger King.
Some of us are happy with a Carl's Jr. Okay?
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm not
Macaroni
Yeah.
No
All right.
with the chicken
So no, look, guys.
strips.
That mishap is not going to deter Republicans at all from voting for him. And he's a football player, and they love their knucklehead football players like Herschel Walker. So they're like, oh yeah, protect the rich, so we don't turn into the Gap Jr. They'll buy it and they'll vote for him. Trust me. Okay, we got to take a quick break.
We do.
All right, we'll be right back.
Got a buddy asking me if I don't play Outriders. I don't have the expansion, and I don't plan on buying it anytime soon unless it goes on sale, because they disappointed me with the whole rollout. It took them, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but I think it was about 2 months before everything got settled. But I lost a lot of gear and it was terrible. And then the game just kind of hit a dead end. So maybe the expansion's good. I'm not saying I don't like the game. It just it's a little short. That's all. Excuse me. And of course, my neighbor decides to mow his fucking lawn at, well, it's about 8 o'clock at night. But come on, dude.
agent requesting backup. Backup request acknowledged. You have.
Sorry, bro. I'm not doing legendary. Nah, you need a good group for that. And I am not in the mood for a 3-hour. Alright. Sorry about that, buddy.
The weather can be relentless up here. Remember to stay hydrated. And if you feel dizzy or fatigued, get under cover and rest.
Hi there.
All right, I've been streaming for about an hour and a half. I'm gonna take a break and catch up to you later. So
fuck this shit, I'm out.